The deeper Evelyn walked into Noctis, the more it felt like the city was watching her. Its alleyways twisted in ways that defied logic. Lanterns flickered even without wind. "You're trying to solve a murder like a human," she said, with a wry smile. "This city eats logic for breakfast." And whispers slithered across the cobblestones with no mouths to shape them. Her modern instincts, forensic training, interview technique, logical deduction, all felt clumsy here, like trying to play chess in a dream where the rules kept changing. He smiled to Izzy and offered condolences that felt real. Nix, her reluctant guide, seemed amused by her confusion. He denied involvement but made no secret of his disdain for vampire rule, who had once served as Illyrian's advisor, before they had a falling out over a forbidden resurrection attempt that nearly collapsed half the district. Admitted something rare, that blade shouldn't even be here. But when she activated it, the image was clouded. The murder scene appeared. Illyrian falling backward, blood pouring from his chest. But his killer was veiled in shifting shadow. Then, just before the image collapsed, was she being framed? Was she somehow tied to the blade without knowing it? Evelyn glimpsed something impossible. A human hand, not clawed or monstrous, delivering the fatal blow. If it surfaced again, someone wants to tear this city apart. Her senses were sharpening. She could read glyphs she had never studied, and once, in a moment of frustration, her words bent to rooms, shadows to her will. Nix witnessed it too. "You've been marked," she whispered. "The city, it's recognizing you." Still, Evelyn clung to what she knew. No mortals were permitted to enter Noctis except her. She began by interviewing those closest to the victim, Lord Elira. They seemed to imply the murder was never about Illyrian. It was about awakening something else. No signature, just 5 words. "There's more to you than you know," she said. "Noctis doesn't just open for anyone." The vampire had ruled one of the oldest districts in Noctis, the Obsidian Quarter, with a cold but steady hand. His death wasn't just a loss of a powerful figure. It was a blow to the fragile peace that held the city's supernatural factions together, and she was no longer sure she was just here to solve a crime. A ritual, a piece in a much older game, of the unspoken, a being said to speak only once every blood moon. With Nix's help, she bribed her way past the Wraith Guards and approached the Chained Seer, one that had begun long before she ever crossed that stone gate. The suspects were many. Attacks broke out in the lower districts. Old treaties were tested. The Council of the Veil warned Evelyn that her time was running out. If she couldn't deliver a name, the factions would go to war, and she would not be spared in the fallout. There was Varail, a rival vampire noble whose district had been locked in a quiet turf war with Illyrian for decades. Then there was Thorn, an alpha werewolf whose pack had a long history of clashes with Illyrian. And finally, Iskra, a necromancer. Each had motive. All had alibis. None could be verified by human standards. As Evelyn sifted through the layers of deceit, she discovered something more unsettling. The murder weapon, the cursed blade used to kill Illyrian, had not been seen in Noctis for over a century. It was called the Thorn of Silence, a dagger forged from a meteor that pierced the veil between realms. Only a few knew it had ever existed. Fewer still had the means to wield it. Nix, intrigued despite herself, and the clues kept twisting. Evelyn found an enchanted mirror in Illyrian's chambers, capable of showing the last few seconds before death. A mortal hand. But that couldn't be. The implications chilled her. Nix grew quiet after the vision. As the investigation continued, Evelyn noticed strange changes in herself. Evelyn began to suspect that this murder wasn't just a crime. It was a signal. At the same time, tensions among the factions were rising. Desperate, she turned to a dangerous source. A blind oracle bound in the catacombs in exchange for blood and memory. The oracle whispered a riddle. The key lies not in who killed, but why they chose now to strike. Blood remembers, even when the mind forgets, and mirrors never lie, unless they fear what they reflect. The words haunted Evelyn. Back at her quarters, she found another sign. A letter slipped beneath her door. "This is not your first time." The ink was still wet. Evelyn stared at the message as the blood moon reached its zenith. Something ancient stirred beneath the surface of Noctis. Maybe she was part of it.